Well, if you were to walk into any bookstore over the past 20 years, you'd be guaranteed to see this name, also in my bookshelf. Jodi Picoult is a New York Times best-selling author with over 40 million copies sold. A number of her stories, like My Sister's Keeper, adapted for the big screen.
Live in the studio. Welcome to Australia.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
Now, this one, number 29, as we've said, as usual, you've taken a big topic and you've tackled it in a really great and courageous way. Entertaining too. Tell us about it.
So it's about how women have been written out of history by the men who were writing history, and it follows two women. The first one is a real-life historical figure in 1581. Her name is Amelia Bassano, female playwright who couldn't get her work in front of the public because she was a female playwright. So she pays a man for the use of his name, and that man is William Shakespeare. And the second woman is her descendant in 2024, also a female playwright who's written about her ancestor and can't get any traction on Broadway because it's a very male-dominated world. So will she too write herself out of history to see her words performed on stage?
Wow. Where do you come up with these ideas?
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, the truth is they usually come from things that I'm really worried about or thinking about. And I've been really outspoken about gender discrimination in publishing and in theatre. And when I stumbled across Amelia Bassano's life and started to think there was so much proof about the fact that she had more connection to the Shakespearean plays than he did, I was like, this is really a story about a woman who couldn't use her voice.
I love that. I love that you think this is the one you were meant to write.
I do.
How many ideas do you shelve, though, sometimes along the way before you get one?
Yeah.
People love to get their hands on the shelf.
No, I have a box. It's a literal box. And I think the thing is that an idea has to hit me at the right time, at the right moment. So something I think about now might not be the right thing to write about, but 5 years from now it could be.
Yeah.
And they just kind of rise like cream when they're ready.
Yeah, perspective too. Perspective changes on things.
Yeah, exactly.
Jodi, as we've touched on, a number of your books made it into movies and musicals, and some of the early adaptations you see little changes to the storylines. Big
different
changes.
Endings.
Yeah, big changes. And so what is that like as an author to sort of absorb and process and judge that?
I've been pretty outspoken about My Sister's Keeper. I was not happy with that adaptation. I was flat out lied to by the director/writer. And I think I actually told the production company that because they changed the ending, I thought they'd lose money. And they did. And they thought I was psychic because I knew they were going to lose money. So now, when I've had adaptations made, I have much more creative control. I'm involved in some of the writing. The adaptations that I've done for theater, because I'm now also writing musical theater, the very first one I did was an adaptation of a book that I wrote with my daughter called Between the Lines. And that was great because we had complete control because we were in the writer's room.
Absolutely. You'll be happy to know that here in Australia, none of your books are banned.
Great.
Back home in the US, a few titles have been pulled from the shelves.
Yeah.
But yet the fans seem to embrace that.
Yeah, book banning is a true and difficult thing in the U.S. right now. It's something else I've been very outspoken about. 20 of my titles have been banned in 35 different states. Not the whole state, but at least one school district in the state, and in the case of Florida, like all of the school districts. And when book banning started, it was because of a group of conservatives that basically wanted to restrict LGBTQ and BIPOC titles, and now they've moved on to what they call mature content, or in their minds, porn. And they don't think that kids should be exposed to any of these things. Now, none of us are writing porn, but we do know that when you take books away from kids that allow themselves to see themselves reflected or to experience people and thoughts different from them, you're taking away resources to help them deal with a really complex world. And so they're not helping these children, they're hurting them. Yeah. And a lot of authors like myself and a lot of publishing companies are fighting very hard to overturn these very poorly worded laws that have enabled this kind of banning.
Such a basic response, isn't it, saying we're just going to ban it?
Exactly.
I want to ask you quickly about your daughter Samantha, who's followed in your footsteps. I love to think that you guys kind of bounce off each other for ideas and plot twists.
Yeah. So Sammy and I wrote this book together when she was very young. She came up with the idea for Between the Lines at 13. We wrote it and we toured actually Australia too when she was 16, and then we wrote a sequel. And I always told her she was a writer, and she fought that because I was her mother. And now she has her first middle grade book that she's written on her own that'll come out next March. And yeah, we actually do. I write her plot ideas and I'm I'm like, help me. And she'll text me back, well, what if this happens? And what if this
awesome.
happens? It's the best.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And you're also a grandma, so that...
I am.
As if writing 29 books isn't busy enough.
Yeah, I have the 2 most adorable grandchildren on the planet, and actually Sammy is a new mom and is a terrific mom too.
Gorgeous. It is so lovely to meet you, Jodi.
So nice to
Congratulations
be
on
here.
all your
Thanks,
success. Jodi Picoult's new book, By Any Other Name, is available right now. Thanks, Jodi.